A guy strikes a model pose thinking yes, being photographed. Turns out they were taking a picture of the moon behind him. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got a story for you that is equal parts embarrassing and hilarious, and it all happened just last week. So, picture this. I was on a much-needed vacation, a little getaway to this beautiful coastal town. The kind of place you see on postcards, you know, cobblestone streets, quaint little shops, and a stunning view of the ocean. It was my last night there, and I was feeling pretty good. I'd had a great trip. I was relaxed, and I decided to treat myself to a nice dinner at a fancy restaurant right on the waterfront. I got a table on the outdoor terrace, and the view was absolutely breathtaking. The sun was setting, painting the sky in these incredible shades of orange and pink, and the water was sparkling. As dusk settled in, this massive, gorgeous full moon started to rise over the ocean. It was one of those perfect, movie-like moments. Seriously, it was huge and bright orange, like something out of a sci-fi film. Everyone on the terrace was buzzing about it, pointing and murmuring about how beautiful it was. So I'm sitting there, soaking it all in, feeling like the main character in my own life story. I'd even dressed up a bit for my final dinner night shirt, hair actually cooperating for once. I was feeling myself, you know? And then I noticed this couple at a nearby table. They had a really professional looking camera, one of those big ones with a massive telephoto lens. They were setting up a tripod, adjusting the settings, and pointing it directly in my direction. My first thought, oh, wow, they must be professional photographers. Maybe they're capturing the ambiance of the restaurant, the whole romantic dinner by the sea vibe, and I just happened to be perfectly positioned in their shot. My ego, which was already having a pretty good day, immediately kicked into high gear. I thought, this is it? This is my moment. They see the potential. They see the leading man material. I started to subtly, or so I thought, shift in my chair. I straightened my back, puffed out my chest a little, and tried to look thoughtfully off into the distance, like I was pondering the great mysteries of the universe. They kept fiddling with their camera, and I was fully committed to my role as the unwitting model. I'd occasionally glance over, trying to make eye contact, ready to give them a charming little nod, like, yeah, I see you. Go ahead, capture this magic. But they were completely focused on their equipment. I decided to up my game. I casually ran a hand through my hair. I picked up my wine glass and held it in that sophisticated way you see in commercials, swirling it gently. I even tried a few different facial expressions. The smoldering, mysterious look. The gentle, approachable smile. The classic, lost in thought gaze. I was giving them everything I had in my mind. I was already gracing the cover of Coastal Living magazine. The headline would read, "Mysterious stranger enjoys a solitary moment of contemplation." This went on for a solid 10 minutes. Me, striking pose after pose, convinced I was the subject of a masterpiece. At one point, I even leaned forward on the table, resting my chin on my hand, giving them my best blue steel impression. I was working it. I was in the zone. I was ready for my close-up. They took a few shots, and the woman turned to the man and showed him the camera's display screen. They both looked at it and smiled, nodding in approval. Yes, I thought. They got the shot! I nailed it! I decided it was time to acknowledge their artistry. I stood up, walked over to their table with what I hoped was an air of casual confidence, and said, "Hey, that's a pretty serious camera you've got there. I hope I didn't mess up your shot. If you want, I could hold a pose for you, for real." I gave them my most charming grin, ready to collaborate on our now shared creative project. The couple looked at me, then at each other, with a shared look of complete and utter confusion. The woman, bless her heart, was the one who broke the silence. She smiled politely and said, "Oh, no, you weren't in the way at all." Then she turned her camera around to show me the picture on the little screen. And there it was. A gigantic, crystal clear, incredibly detailed photograph of the moon. It was a stunning shot. Truly, you could see the craters, the texture, everything. And in the very, very bottom corner, barely visible, was a tiny, blurry, out-of-focus blob that was vaguely shaped like my head. My perfectly coiffed, smoldering, mysterious head. They hadn't been taking a picture of me. They had been taking a picture of the moon rising directly behind me. The entire 10-minute modeling session, the hair flips, the wine glass swirl, the deep, contemplative gaze of sit was all for nothing. I was just a minor, blurry obstruction in their perfect lunar landscape. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I could feel my face turning bright red. I just stood there, speechless. All that effort, all that ego, all for a blurry corner in a moon photo. The guy then chimed in, completely oblivious to my internal crisis. Yeah, he said, this lens is amazing for astrophotography. We came here specifically to get a shot of the supermoon over the ocean. I managed to stammer out something like, oh, wow, that's an amazing picture. Really captures the ... moon nest. I have no idea what moon nest means, but it's what came out of my mouth. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me whole. I quickly retreated back to my table, my main character syndrome completely shattered. I spent the rest of my dinner trying to become invisible, occasionally glancing over at the couple who were now happily packing up their gear, completely unaware that they had just inadvertently orchestrated the most humbling moment of my entire year. So, the moral of the story is, maybe, just maybe, the world doesn't always revolve around you. And sometimes, when you think you're the star of the show, you're actually just a blurry blob in the corner of a picture of the moon. It's a good lesson in humility, I guess. And it's a story I'll be telling for a very long time, mostly at my own expense. Have you ever had a moment like that? A time when you totally misread a situation and ended up embarrassing yourself? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story so I can feel a little less alone in my foolishness. It was definitely a humbling experience, but hey, at least it makes for a great story, right? And at least I got to see a really cool moon. That's my takeaway. Anyway, thanks for listening to my tale of woe. If you enjoyed it and want to see more of my misadventures, if you like, give me a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.